citizens, how's your spirit? Mine? Intuitive. Introspective. Damn, y'all. Look at the things. Your girl been working hard out here. Okay? I intend to title this video when I post it, Shut Up and Be a Good Victim. Because that's what I've heard more than anything is, one second, trying something again. Okay. So, it's the thing that I've heard most recently. It's, well, she ain't no victim if she this, and this, or this, and this. When you are dealing with the type of thing that I'm dealing with, you can't lay down and cry. You can't wait for some nice guy to come by and save your life. That's pretty much not how it works. You never make it known to anyone at all what the hell's going on. Whether that's inside of your home or your streams or even your dreams. Then you remain not only a victim, so to speak, but a fucking hostage, you know? And on my other channel, I posted a video some time ago about trauma athletes. People who live in their trauma and make it the source of everything. Pain, how they live, how they meet, how they interact. And there's a part of being trafficked that makes you uncomfortable with interacting with anybody, especially a dude, right? People keep wondering, well, why are you still outside? Because the shelters are difficult to trust. And then people inviting you into their home, you never know who's who. And then meeting men, unfortunately for them, the repercussion is a trust issue. Not giving people opportunities for me to trust them. Although I do. So for starters, like I tell someone, if I contact you and I don't hear from you in like 48 hours, I'm pretty much cool with it. I delete your shit out my brain, my phone, and I move on. It's the smartest way for me to live, and thank God, good Lord, that I found out I'm autistic, because, partner. You know, I realize the difference between autism and artistry, right? Autistic people, like me, have a need to do certain things to stim, to relieve something. And for me, that was live streaming. Just being honest. Everything about it, from creating the thumbnails to the conversations, all of it was the best and safest way for me to be free. That's why I said I know why the cage bird sings. That's why a whole lot of things. Anyway, an artist, on the other hand, they're more often than not looking to live off of their art. As an autistic artist, I suppose even I want to live off of my art. It's just an artist will produce almost anything in order to call it art and get paid. And I don't work that way. I'll create a new form of art, like the way in which I create content, or one of those things. But I don't know. Business is business, and art is art to me. I believe that's why my goal is to get into philanthropy, because art should just be beautiful. Like me. For someone to be able to admire and recognize at the same time that they can never ever pay for that beauty is priceless. It is invaluable. It's something that we hold up in high honor and we put on a pedestal on purpose. We're proud of it and everything about it. The person who created every line, every stippling, every texture. That's the heart of the art. And that's what we should be celebrating and encouraging children to be again. Renaissance men and women in service to this country. Because this country has served it. And the country served it some bullshit. So why don't we work in service to change that? Provide real food, hot meals, homes, and all those things. We are within days of Independence Day. No better way to show our independence than to be independent from the government bullshit and corruption. That's my belief in it. See, this is the victim they want me to be. Teary-eyed and crybabied. That's why most of the time when you find my old channel, you see me all teary-eyed and looking like I'm going through it. You know, that first thumbnail that I had brought in people just because of the thumbnail. They were like, what the hell? How I murdered a fat chick is what it said on it. I've been trying to kill off that over-loving heifer for so long, I don't know what to do with it. I realized, though, pour love into me so I can get fit. Look at me. I will be 50 in September. I have a steady heartbeat. I am diabetes and high cholesterol free. I have an enlarged heart, so I live with high blood pressure. But, you know, my heart's almost as big as my damn chest, so there's that. This, and the fact that I live with wasting syndrome, probably the two most difficult things to deal with. This is a direct result of not being able to eat, not the opposite. That makes sense. I feel like free dentistry work should be included, and not just by students. People should be able to go and see a real dentist. And if you believe in doctors and you want to do that thing, then fine. Just don't deny my right to holistic healing, because it's worked for me. My first cancer scare was when I was in my early 20s. Pardon me. And I would have a few. And then eventually the doctor would simply say to me, hey, do you want to live to see your children graduate from high school? I said, yeah. So, doc said, you're going to have gastric bypass surgery. I did. And it's my belief that having gastric bypass surgery may have saved my life. My mother passed away of stomach cancer. 1996. So having a large portion of my stomach cut, tethered to the side, and unused, also mean there was no food for a cancer to live off of. And as small as my other stomach is, it's, you know, I presume that if I was to get a damn tumor on that bitch, we'd know real quick. But anyway, I say all that to say, anyone who's ever survived anything will tell you it's discipline. It's determination. It's Dedication. I was dedicated to being positive, that there would be positive outcomes no matter how long it took. I was dedicated to the mission. More than myself for a while. My mission. Now I recognize a lot of things. So shout out to the homies. You can make friends early on when you give someone an opportunity to be a friend. Thing is, like I said in the beginning, it's difficult for someone like me. And people are beginning to understand why, which is why I continue to speak out loud. And they continue to leave me outside. I think probably the scariest thing is a powerful, vocal, vitriolic victim, so to speak, because it means they're believable. It means the likelihood of getting away with the crime is damn near insurmountable. So what's left but to intimidate? That's why you see what looks like me intimidating others on my page. If the intimidation is the blue wave, you aren't meant to see the intimidation. You're meant to see me crying and complaining about the things that are happening to me and say, oh, well, get over it. So unless I put up videos or I speak aloud to the cameras in stores and things, people would never know I was out here. Because they want you to be a good victim, and part of being a good victim is just sitting there and taking that shit until someone chooses to notice, until someone chooses to see and or get involved in what you've always known was happening. It's happening to us. We. The hardest part of dealing with all of this has really just been praying for my children. It took me 3 decades to go through and speak to or my truth. You know what I'm saying? 30 years that my eldest has pretty much been out here. If I was processing and developing for 30 years, I pray that at 14 and 15, when when he didn't take his life that night, I'd like to believe that's when he began working on his adverse childhood experiences. And the thing that makes me believe that more than anything is when I got here and we lost contact before we did, the last thing he said to me is, "You were a good mother." He said it was him and not me. And the one who's most like me, that middle one, well, it might take him a little bit longer. It still won't take him the same amount of time that he did me. And it's truly my belief that that youngest one, he just needs to recognize that he's not like everyone, nor is he meant to be. So me and mine will always be fine out here. I'm actually going to leave this music right here that's going. Once I post this, I want to see if there's any copyright issues. So, like I said, we'll be learning some new things once I start live streaming again. I'll tell you what brought it about, this conversation. Men try to get women by any means necessary. The amount of money, the amount of promises, the amount of inches. It doesn't matter, right? Rarely is it the truth. So one dude I met was like, hey, damn, I love the shit out of you, your personality and whatever. I just want to sleep with you. Heard. I can get that. Another one, though, promises of this and that and this and this and this. And then when they got nothing, I got nothing. Not surprising. It obviously makes one a bit of a narcissist. The question is, what else does it make sense? And I don't let my mind go that far because, well, then that starts other issues. I've met nicer men, kinder ones, to represent both of those situations even. In those cases, they were not mistreated by me. The reason why those cases didn't work out is because they themselves didn't believe that they should be with me. Because of my goals, ambitions, and or my dreams and their past history. Being honest, they didn't know my past history. And if they did, I don't know what they based their decision on otherwise. You get what I'm saying? For me, I keep it pushing. And it says the latter two I can still continue to consider friends. They were nothing but gentlemen. Respectful to me, for the most part. When you learn to talk to someone for the first time or communicate with someone, it's difficult. Language is a barrier and you don't know their language barriers. I.e., one, if you're not of the same race, there's going to be a language barrier. Two, that language barrier will include the ability to communicate with you without being rude. Because they still have to know, especially if you don't tell them, and there's going to always be a test just because the boundaries of the words you'll tolerate. For instance, if you and your person that you're meeting for the first time have a great conversation always, and then over time that stays the same, but one day they call you out your name in a derogatory way and you are taken aback, aghast, appalled, shocked. That's the test. How do you recover from that? I was so shocked and appalled, I called the police. One, it was a threat to my safety. Two, it was an opportunity to let the police know, hey, I'm still out here and I know what you're doing. Doesn't mean you don't have a job to do. And three, that person turned around and apologized to me. And has been showing fruits of redemption, seeking forgiveness. She's also someone whom I told, stop telling people who you used to be. Stop being so worried about your past. Taking my own advice. That person and I recognize that our issue isn't ours. And Good Trouble is playing in my ear right now by India Ari. I gotta admit, he's pretty good trouble. And our friendship would have grown differently and with less toxicity had other people not gotten themselves involved in it. I'm thankful to have him as a friend in my life, though. He's taken a lot of things off of me, and vice versa. And I think that's the thing that other people saw, made them angry, and made them react so unkindly. His history and mine have no reasons for our stars to align and be anything like friends. And to do that in front of an open audience and have them respond in a positive way, yet question the nature of it. That would otherwise always be a problem in our life, friendship, and or association. But for me saying the truth in this moment, and always. The person was otherwise kind to me. We had to learn how to not punish each other for a past that neither of us meant to exist. If that makes sense. He's a great person. And sometimes you have to meet another great person to remind you that we go through things that other people don't go through. I certainly had to remind my son of that recently. I can't promise you I'm ever gonna shut up and be a good victim. But I promise to be honest and truthful to the people of this country. And I mean it when I say I'm going to run for the highest office in the land. And not just because of what I have on the man, but because of who I am as a woman. So, fight the power. Join me in restoring democracy to the country. Stop being a good victim. Shut up and find your equilibrium. Let's take a field trip to the dispensary. Grab us some weed. Sit under a tree and talk about what it is to be free. For the first time in history. It's about time for me to get out of here. And I need to smoke a tree before I do. So, peace to you. Keep the spirit up. I'll see you in the streets. Deuces.